Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Jen Fontanilla. And I don't know if I pronounced it right. I hope
You
so.
did. You did great.
Thank you so much for saying yes to our podcast interview. And of course, I'd like to introduce you to the audience. You bring together 25 years of experience in graphic design and 19 years in the financial industry. You are able to bridge the gap between your client's mindset around money and their creative abilities to reveal their financial brilliance and empowers them to live a prosperous and creative life. And of course, I want to know more about it, what you are doing for your work.
Yes. So I'm actually located in Los Angeles, California. So I've been here pretty much all my life. And thank you for the introduction. So I have been a graphic designer, and then I also used to be a financial advisor. And what I've done recently was combine those two worlds. And my passion is for creatives, especially creative professionals and creative entrepreneurs. What we find that we deal with often is hearing that, oh, you're not going to make money. Oh, you better have a backup plan. Oh, we have the idea of the starving artist. We all heard of that phrase. And so it actually led me to do a TEDx last year, which was to inspire creatives that you can make money living out your passions and build wealth, and that we can dispel this starving artist idea. And so what I do is that I help these creatives uh, increase and improve their relationship to their money, and so that their money mindset improves, and that way they can build wealth and live this thriving life while living out their artistic passions.
Wow, what a crazy idea. I think about it, but it all makes sense to me to combine two of your skills, or these are not only skills, these are gifts and talents of yours. And I love that very much. And my first question is, what inspires you every day to get up?
It's just being grateful. I think when you're excited about what you do, you just have a different outlook and perspective on life. I will tell you what also gets me up is I have to do this 5:45 a.m. kickboxing class. So I commit to it ahead of time, with a week ahead. And so I am so religious about going to that every single morning and working out. And it has become part of my lifestyle. So just starting the day, moving your body with energy, and then knowing that, I'm living what I want to do. I'm excited about the things I get to create every day. I think just being a creative and being able to design things and then help people strategize different things that they're working on, that's actually a lot of fun for me. And so it's not boring. Every day is different. There is different content to write. There's different articles and blog posts and whatnot. There, I get to do fun, podcast episodes with wonderful people like you. So knowing that there's a variety of different activities while building my business, while helping other people build their businesses, it's just always exciting. So I think the fact that nothing is ever the same, and I intentionally don't do anything that feels very drone like, it just makes, just knowing that there's going to be an exciting day ahead, it just helps me get up and just have that inspiration to look forward to what the day has to come.
Oh, I see. You use gratitude, then you have your sports lessons. You are going there? It's not online, right?
No, it's in person, right? And there's a punching bag. You got the gloves on, and you're moving really, really hard early in the morning.
Oh, yes, I see. It's a challenge in the beginning, I think, but then when you form the habit to do it, it's automatically, right?
Right, right. And
Mm,
that's a great point. It does
yeah.
become a habit. And then I think even beyond the habit, it becomes part of your lifestyle, So, just like how people take a walk or people like to journal, there are going to be these things that you need to intentionally choose what you want to have in your day and start the day off like that.
Yeah, this is important. You get to choose. It's up to you. And once you make a decision, a committed decision, then there's no other way. You have to do it. It's your new reality, so to say. I love what you said. And my next question is, who inspires you? Are there coaches and mentors you have?
Yes, there are different coaches that I work with. That's kind of been the thing that I'm very, very adamant about doing. That I'm following other mentors. I'm listening to what other people that have done it, that have been very successful, that inspire me. That I'm always a student of learning, and that I'm constantly learning things. And I think to add to the first question about what inspires you and to get up, and it's just knowing that like I'm always learning something, because I think if you want to become a master at what you do, there's never this point where you know everything. And I find that learning something new, it keeps you sharp, it keeps you alert, it keeps you excited, because what we get bored when we've been doing this, it's nothing new. So yes, I do follow some coaches. I have mentors, and then there's also your peers, your friends who are walking the journey with you, and then you have the people that are following you, right? The people that you are helping and leading and guiding because they're looking up to you. So it's always like this chain, right? Of the people that are ahead of you, you're at where you're at, and then the people that are following you, but we're all going in the same direction, which is moving forward.
Oh, yes, this is true. Always move forward, never look back, and never go back, of course, because there is no standing still. If you don't move, then it's going backwards, right? That's dangerous. Yes. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. And my next question is, how do you inspire other people?
I think it's by how you show up and how you live. So, as we're talking about habits and doing things on a regular basis, I think when we show people, not just say, do this, I think that's inspiring to other people. So, for example, working out, there's people every year that say, like, okay, this is the year I'm going to lose the weight. This is the year I'm going to go to the gym. And because it's been something I've done for almost all my life, it's so natural for me. I don't miss it. Even if I travel, like I have to work out. That's just part of my lifestyle. And so I think when you are the example and you hold yourself accountable to the things that you're telling other people to do, you're inspiring them just by telling them you're doing it, even just by posting something that you're doing it. Another example is, I recently wrote a book. It just published yesterday as of this recording, and it's called The Creative Code, A Creative Professional's Way to Happiness, Wealth, and Joy. And what's been really exciting is already just getting some feedback from some of the people who have read even just the first 15% of it. And it's just been really, really great. It's affirming because, when you're writing a book, this is me, I'll speak for myself. You start to wonder, was this boring? Is this going to be something that people connect with? Are they going to like this? Because it's coming from your brain and your thoughts, and then you're putting it out into the world. And just hearing the people that have already dove into it, they're just like, oh my gosh, I needed this. Like, oh, I could so relate to what you were talking about. I love that you're doing this. You hear those things and you realize all the times that there was failure, all the times that there was pain and hurt, all the times where you failed and it wasn't working. And now you're able to share those things and then also provide a solution, because oftentimes we're on the other side of that hurdle. You're able to look at the people that are reading that or that are experiencing it themselves in that moment, and then they see what you're sharing with them. Now they're inspired that they can get past whatever that challenge is that they're going through. And so that's what I love the most, is that knowing that all of us have an experience, all of us go through really tough things in our lifetime, but we never know how our stories are going to affect and inspire other people. So I think when I think about those types of things, when I am going through those dark, tough moments, I also know that when I get past this, this is going to help somebody else. And so it makes that heaviness not so heavy, and it inspires me to push through at that problem at that time, because I know that I'm going to get through it. And that I know that this challenge is going to serve a purpose in a positive way for somebody else in the future.
Oh, that's so true. First of all, congratulations to your book release.
Thank
And
you.
how exciting it is when you see it, when you the moment when you can download it or purchase it, and when you read the first pages. I don't talk about you, I mean the readers, the readers, and you are excited about it, and then you have already your feedback. I love that so much.
Thank
But you
you.
said also the title, you said the creative code. So there is
Yes,
the code
yes, the
for.
creative code.
Mhm. Can you tell us more about the code? Is it
Yeah,
in the.
so it's a culmination of different things that I have done over, especially over all the years, especially as a designer, especially as somebody that's been in the financial services field. And then in the more recent years, I started studying different things such as universal laws, spiritual laws, like law of attraction, or the law of polarity, or all the law of vibrational frequency, and just seeing how all these things with creativity, your faith in God, and where the source and power inspiration comes from, and then how does this work with your finance. So there's all these different things that all together is what creates this amazing life, whether that's whether you're a dancer, a musician. And then truth be told, anybody could apply this to their life, but I was speaking specifically to the creatives. But following this code is more like understanding how to navigate through this life with more ease and flow. Because I think too many of us are trying so hard that it feels like this constant uphill battle, and that it's always so heavy. And it's just like, gosh, why does this have to be so hard? And it doesn't have to be. And so when you embrace some of these things that I'm talking about in the book, you'll start to see that, like, you know what? I'm not saying, though, that there's not going to be challenges. I'm not saying that those are going to be completely eliminated, but it's how you have a different perspective on how to handle it when you are going through those things. Because if you're not equipped with the tools and you're not equipped with how you should look at it and shift your perspective, it's going to be harder. That is why it is harder. That is why it feels like such a struggle, because your perspective and lens is so used to looking at everything being so difficult. But if you learn how to shift it, you're going to, it's still good. The problems will still be there. However, how you deal with it and look at it will be completely different. And that's where I've talked about how this is where the ease and flow come in. So it's just learning how to navigate through life in a I think in a wiser way.
Wow, I understand. This is amazing. Also, the analogy to navigation, GPS, for example. I love this creativity code.
Thank
Please
you.
reach out to Jen. She's amazing. And also buy the book. Of course, we put the links in the show notes. This is amazing. Of course, I have another question, and it is, what are your gifts and talents?
Ooh, for sure, creativity, for sure. And I know that I got that from my late grandfather. He was a traditional artist where he sketched life drawings. He actually worked in a textile manufacturing company where he would paint the patterns that would go on the fabrics. And I actually didn't learn that until my grandmother passed away a few years ago. So I know that my artistic abilities came from him. And then I remember when he was still alive, I would see some of the paintings and these drawings. He had this drawing of Elizabeth Taylor. My grandfather was so in love with all these Hollywood actresses. And so he would write them letters, but I saw the photographs and I saw these drawings that were so lifelike, and it was incredible. Unfortunately, I did not inherit the life drawing skill. That is actually a skill that I have not practiced, and so I can't. The only living things I can draw are plants. So animals and people, forget it. This just doesn't look good. But the design eye, the aesthetic, being able to recognize how something should be laid out is just very, very natural and easy for me. It's very interesting. I've noticed it more and more over the years. Not only that, but in business, I feel like a lot of my strongest skill set is being able to strategize and taking all the things that I learned over the years and sitting down with somebody. And this happens very often where somebody wants to create a offer, somebody wants to start a coaching business, somebody wants to do some kind of live event, whatever, and everything is all over the place, right? They don't know where to start. They're lost and confused. I'm the person who can look at everything in a very simplistic, structured way and organize it in my brain and then tell them like, okay, this is where you're at. This is how we structure this. Keep it simple, because if we keep making it very complicated, that's when we don't execute things. And so it's bringing, the easiest way I should summarize it as is bringing that clarity and structure to somebody. So being very organized with ideas is another strong aspect that I do have. So yeah, creativity, structure, organization. So now that I'm telling you, it's funny because they're almost like opposites, right? And so I find that a lot of what I do is bringing opposite concepts and finding a way for them to fit together.
Yes, I see it the same way. It's your left brain is the structure and right brain is your creativity. And I love the combination.
Yeah.
Yes. And you said you can help people when they start their business. It's the start that stops most people. So, what would you say is the number one thing if someone wants to start their business? The first thing, the first step?
The first step I think is try to get to at least 90% clarity. And what I mean by that is I sometimes talk to people where they're like, well, I think I want to do this. If you're already having that kind of energy where you're saying, I think I want to, I'm already saying like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because somebody that acts like this, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know I want to do a life coaching business. I love helping people. I just don't know where to start. Totally different energies, right? The
Yes.
first person, I feel like they are somebody who heard that this would be a good idea, but they're not even sold on it. They're like, well, I don't know, maybe I should try it. The other person, they are lost, but there's passion behind it. They know that they want to do that. And something that's so simple, just to start with, before you venture off into an idea, I think it's important to do an assessment, a self-assessment, and check yourself if, hey, am I really excited about this? Because if that excitement isn't there, it's going to be hard to carry through when you got to deal with technical things, you got to deal with people, you got to deal with problems, you got to deal with all the parts that are not so fun in the business. And that if that passion and that excitement and it's not something that's truly aligned with who you are and who you want to be and how you want to show up, everybody's going to feel it. They're going to see that you don't care. They're going to see that this is not really your thing. And you got to be careful, because if that's the energy that they're feeling, and you might not even be consciously aware if that's the energy that you're putting out, you're going to repel people from wanting to work with you. You might attract a few, but it might not be the greatest experience because you're kind of like, yeah, you're not really in it. You're just kind of like, well, I don't know. I think I want, and I find that very often when somebody's lost, and that's one of the questions I do ask in the very, very beginning. So I appreciate you're asking this question. I'll say like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And then they'll say it in that first way. Well, I don't know, kind of thinking like that. No, you don't. That's exactly what I'll tell them. No, you don't. No, you're not. Don't do that. You don't want to do it. Versus, so then the next step, if you are somebody that feels that you are responding in that way, I said, well, what lights you up? What is it that you really get excited about that people come to you for? Then they start thinking of different things. Then I say, then figure out how to do more of that. Do more of that. So for me, it's super important that we are aligned. And that's why when I talk about creatives, the battle that they're struggling with is, I really want to do this creative thing, but I'm hearing that I'm not going to make money. My parents don't want me to go there. They want me to be a doctor or a lawyer or something else. And now they're in that weird battle of doing what they're passionate about, that they're really aligned, and that their purpose here on earth is supposed to be for them, versus taking this path where it's kind of like, well, I don't know. And I've seen the conversations and the people that go the other route, they're dying inside. So I don't want anybody to feel that they got to tread through life dying inside because they're doing something they don't want. So it's that simple. Start there. Ask yourself, do you really want to do this?
Oh, I love it. So find your passion, find your desire, and then do more of it.
Yeah, it's that simple. Do more of that. Because at this point in my life, I realized anything can be monetized. Anything. So even if it means this silliest thing. I kid you not. There was something I saw a couple years ago where somebody was selling hugs,
Oh, yeah.
hugs, things like that. And I said, wow, good for that person. And it was almost the equivalent of getting a massage. I said, do they have to do anything sexual? They're like, no, they're just hugging. I'm like, wow, that's an incredible business model.
Yes.
So I don't want to hear any excuses. Everything can be monetized.
Okay, that's the good news. I love it. And then I have another question for you, of course. Do you set goals for yourself or intentions? We talked about intentions. And what is one of your goals for 2024?
Oh, I love this. Yes, the answer is yes. I always set goals. Have to. And then I have it broken down. I think I look at the year and then I look at, okay, so this is what I've done now in more recent years. I look at the year and I say, what are the three main things I have to do? What are the three main things? And I think when I have the big three, I can focus a lot more on, okay, because with one big thing, there's going to be like 20 million little things underneath it, right? So the problem I see happen often is when we have like these lists of random things, a lot of it doesn't get done. But if I can focus on having three main things, then I break down the task and the things that I need to accomplish, the things that I need to accomplish under each one. By the time I get to the end of the year or when I scheduled when I want to have it done, it gets done. It really does. So like, for example, last year's was to get a TEDx talk. That was done. This year was part of it was like, I got to do the book. I did it in record time. I actually did it in a month. So, I find these projects and then I find myself going crazy because, oh my goodness, like, Jen, that's not the list right now. Or do I need to shift and adjust things? And so I am always asking myself, because I'm very squirrel and my brain wants to do a new project every time. I always have to come back to, does this align with the big thing that we want to do and go forward with? Because it's very easy for all of us to get distracted, right? Yeah. So if the answer is no, then I have to tell myself, not right now. Maybe later, but that's not on the list right now. It doesn't mean we're never going to do it. It just means not right now. And then if it is, I have to assess, okay, well, is there something that I need to push aside, or can this one take the second place? So it's this constant conversation with myself, right? And I think as you can notice, they're very simple questions, right? I don't allow myself to get caught up in the complexities of like, oh, how do this? But I don't know how to do that. There's a lot of things I don't know how to do. Mm-hmm. But I start with, do I want to do this? Does this light me up? And does this align with where I'm really trying to go? So when you look at things from a higher perspective and keep it simple, then it keeps you on track from going from where you are today to where you want to go. And then you don't get so lost in the weeds and getting distracted and doing the things you're not supposed to be doing and taking the wrong detour. So it's very, very important to have those goals. And then, of course, the last thing I will say about this question is that I have my daily ones. Again, almost breaking it down, like what are the three things that I need to get done today? Because I'm still working on this, Caroline, because there's many days where I'm writing 30 things on a piece of paper, and then so many of them don't get done. And I have to always come back and say to myself, come on, really? Why did you think that we were going to do all of that today? I think I think what I tend to do now is just embrace simplicity, embrace reality and simplicity. And then what ends up happening subconsciously is that you start to feel, hey, I'm getting things done. Because oftentimes I also hear people say, like, gosh, I feel like I'm not moving anywhere. I feel like I'm not going forward. I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. So it's almost like you're setting yourself up for this pseudo failure because you feel like you're not moving forward. It's because you got all this complicated stuff. There's too many things going around. You don't know how to focus on those three main things.
Wow, I love that idea about 3 things per day. What I did 2 years ago was I came across the TikTok and it says set up a 300 things list for the year, and I did. And by the end of the year, 95% were accomplished.
Love it.
but also like crazy things, like going to, it was Canada at that time, I think. I went to some, yeah, it was a miracle, because, and I think the secret is, as you said, you write it down, you set the intention, and then you follow through.
Right.
Yes. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're
And now
welcome.
my last question is, when people reach out to you after listening to this episode, do you have special offers or services for the inspired podcast community?
Right now, it's the book. So that's my main focus. So if you want to check that out, it's available on Amazon. So you can either just go to my site and you'll easily find it at jenmoneycoach.com.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. And do you have a last message for our audience?
I think I think this is so we're at the half point, almost the half point of the year, which is so interesting, right? I cannot believe how fast this year has gone by. And it's just interesting. I just at this moment realized like, wow, we're at the midway point, right? So I want you to just reflect on, okay, maybe some of you are on top of your goals and maybe some of you have been really diligent, but maybe some of you haven't been. I want to encourage you not to beat yourself up. I think too often we're saying so many negative things that are mean to ourselves. And I think it's important to learn how to act as your best friend. Be very mindful and careful of how you're speaking to yourself. Things like, gosh, I'm a hot mess. Oh gosh, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. I can't believe, I messed up again. We wouldn't say that to our children. We wouldn't say that to our friends, right? You say like, it's okay. You can keep going. You got this. It's all right. It's not the end of the world. Why aren't you saying it to yourself? So I want to encourage you, if you find that you're not in that space where you didn't cross off half of that list, that you have a fresh restart at this midpoint of the year, and that you're always able to restart. It's how you shift that perspective and say like, okay, you know what? Great. What did I learn from the first, half of this year? Okay, well now what can I do moving forward? What is it that I want? What are the lessons that I can take? How can I move forward in a more organized, structured, flexible way that can keep driving me forward? And how do you stay inspired? Like we were talking about earlier, do those things you love. Because if you are not doing those things, if you're not traveling, if you're not visiting that restaurant that you've been wanting to eat at with your spouse, like whatever it is, go freaking do it. Incorporate them, big or small, into your life. Don't wait for that one day. It doesn't have to be like you're taking like a world tour. I mean, if you are and that's what you want to do, have at it. More power to you. But I think too many times we're thinking that I got to wait till I save up all this money before I can do that one thing. Well, maybe that's one of them that you want to do. But then what are the other things you can do on a daily basis? You got to make the time for it. So it's so important to infuse those things that bring you that passion and that joy, because that's what's going to keep your energy up. That's what's going to inspire you. That's what's going to infuse the fun. And that's what's going to keep you propelling forward to getting the rest of that stuff of your list knocked off.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our last message. Thank you for our interview, and see you in the next episode.